Hatutambui wakadinali manze. The trendiest rap group in the 254.
Kuna mahali nataka kwenda nani saa hii.
Shinoma manze.
Majenge. Tutambui.
Magezo buru. Magezo matoka buru sindio ama?
Agariaso. Umoshe Islandos.
No.
Yani machalo Islando wameshikana mbogi fulani.
Wako on. So I think lilikuwa mechi last week they were saying last week but one on Spotify they're the top streamed rap group in the country.
Oh, for shizo.
Yeah, I'm two artists top streamed artists in Kenya.
Wanapita nani?
Buda
nani sauti ya kina nani?
Sauti Sol BN Walter
Wacha wakishikanisha 4 in 1.
You guy very dangerous.
Bigo manze wa kardinali.
And we love
wakali wao.
On 104.5 Vibes Radio #Money Vibes. I'm your local energy provider Otada the Beast. Good morning.
Mana na Badman right manze pona weekend manze kamande kametulia fiti manze upande yako sijiko vipi manze. All you got to do my people, you know the drill kama kawaida. Hala at your boy at 104.5 manze. Hiyo ndio mainstream yetu manze kama kawaida ukiwa areas za Nairobi, Mombasa 98.7, 98.8 kwa area za Nyeri, alafu Meru pian 107.1. Big Al massive include streaming online on vibesradio.co.ke. We love you for free. Yani tunawapenda bure.
Exactly, and happy holidays once again. So asa tuko kwa mjadala kwa public opinion and today we're not having a topic. Leo tuko na conversation nyingine imelete sana. Now very sensitive, very important as well. Na tulianza hii conversation I believe last month tulikuwa na mguys hapa hivi even about a week ago tulikuwa na Phil Otieno. Phil was a guy from a certain NGO na tulikuwa tuongea vile young men and boys can get out here and counter SGBV. Right. Today we also going to further the conversation and tuko na ma empress wawili hapa hivi. I'll let them introduce themselves, watuambie wako kwa organization gani, what inspires them to do what they do. Ndio sasa tuendelee na hii conversation ya SGBV. Begin on my left hand side. Wanasamanga on the left. The left side, the best side.
The left side.
Maybe Kevin anaweza weka mic fiti. Ndio sasa to get kwanza hii conversation. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Maybe unasonga karibu na microphone. Introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, what you do, what inspires you to do what you do.
Okay. My name is naitwa Irene Balilwa, Mbote. Nafanya kazi na Gem. I'm from Gem. Gem, what? Okay, nitaacha kwanza introduce Gem and then I'll tell you what I do. I'm a community gender defender. Also, I am a co-founder of a CBO that's called Circle of Hope, where we deal with mental health of survivors of sexual and gender-based violence.
Karibu sana. And then on my right-hand side, Empress, karibu kwa show.
Asante.
Introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Winnie Mwanzia. I work for African Gender and Media Initiative Trust. In short, tunaitwa GEM Trust. So GEM Trust is a non-profit organization that works to advance gender equality through action and research on women's rights. Now, what I do is part of the lead team for GEM Trusts. I'm a field officer. I support different programs to also support young people and girls especially. Kwa sababu ya obvious reasons tunajua mademu wameachwa nyuma sana and there are so many challenges that actually hinder them from getting services. Including contraceptive services, as she has mentioned, also gender survivors to get psychosocial support na vitu kama hizo.
Yes.
So I'm so happy to be here.
Karibuni sana. We're also so excited to have this conversation with you. Now, when it comes to this SGBV conversation, ukiangalia the statistics in Kenya, they say in Kenya, just as in most African countries, GBV disproportionately affects more women than men. Indeed, government statistics from the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, KDHS, indicate that over 40% of women have experienced physical or sexual intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Easy, my numbers winning is shocking sana. When you look at the situation kwa ground right now, is it are the rates still increasing even under GBV? Is it more violence? Is it still on the rise? Are the countries doing enough to try and manage it? Could prevent this in the kuongezeka?
Yeah. Thank you for stating the facts. I just want to add that also 44% of women currently, according to the UN Women, they experienced violence before the age of 24. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha those cases are still being reported, and what we are doing as an organization is to ensure that young people are empowered and they know where to report and how to report and what channels are they able to use. They have the information. So just to answer your question ni kwamba hizo kesi bado ziko and they are on the rise na zinaendelea kuonekana, and we are seeing strategies like how we can engage also men and young boys so that they can be champions of SGBV.
Exactly. So what is the common form of violence right now when it comes to SGBV?
The most common form of violence is physical violence, followed by emotional and then sexual.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So kama physical violence ni kama kupigwa, battering, kicking, the ones that you can see.
Yes.
And then when we talk about emotional and psychological, there are those things kama kuwa belittled. When someone talks down at you, they try to control you. That is emotional violence. Kutusiwa pia, that's emotional and psychological violence, because that you can't see, but it actually hurts someone. So those are some of the forms. And then sexual is the most prominent one, which is rape. Rape, we speak about rape when it's coerced or forced sexual activity that affects an adult. But when we speak about young children, we talk about defilement. Ambayo defilement nayo, it's coercion and sexual, any sexual act with a child. That is anyone below the ages of 18 years.
That's interesting. And Irene, ukiangalia this sexual violence, for example, tumesikia that's the most common one. Does it really affect mostly people in urban centers ama pia mashinani uko wocha moshada?
Okay, about sexual violence, something funny ni sexual violence ina happen kila mahali. But unaona sasa tukikuja kama hapa town, like what Gem Trust inafanya. So na sasa Gem Trust imetuchukua sisi different organization, different CBOs, like Gem Trust is like the mother. So imechukua different CBOs, tuna work together. So they train you, they capacity build you, so we know how to fight this like sexual violence. Msichana from urban center anajua what to do if raped. Anajua where to go to, because the information tayari, the CBOs, the NGOs that are around imeshampatia information. But ukienda huko mshada sasa, girls are raped daily. Unaona hata girls are raped, girls are defiled, children are being defiled, but they don't have the information. Akidefailiwa inasetoliwa kinyumbani, like mtoto fulani alirepe mtoto fulani ama mzee fulani arepe mzee fulani, the men come together, they don't even involve the survivor. Wanakuja pamoja, wanakaa, and then they decide maybe ataolewa, if kama ni mimba maybe itatolewa, ama they just decide for the survivor.
Na historia ya Gem vile mnaipeleka na like the energy na mko vibrant sana. At the same time ni story tu ya mtoi wa kidem ama ni based gender, ni based kwa mtoi wa kidem na chali at the same time. Juu pia kuna maboys wanapitia normal guys at the same time. Unapata kuna mbocha house girl ameshingia kidefile mtoi wa ile hao mtoi mdogo kijana uone ataenda wapi.
So as an organization tuna work na both vijana na madem, kwa sababu when we say gender does not mean women. And that is the thing that most of the people misunderstand. When we talk about gender, it means both sex. Inamaanisha men and female. So when we are intervening as Gem Trust, we also come across cases that mavijana wamekuwa defiled, issues of sodomy, and we help them access services na pia kuripoti zile kesi. So when the only thing is that when you look at data, wasichana ndio wamekuwa affected even more. So it doesn't mean that men are not being affected and young men, because when you look at the rates of issues kama suicide, it is really affecting the boy child. And it's because we've come a long way that women are so empowered, girls are able to speak out, but we are leaving the boy behind.
Hivyo tunataka kuuliza, inaweza kuwa ni juu boys mambo yao wamefundishwa waike na ndani. Juu kasi tunasikia sasa ndio ni kama na hiyo story ni juu tunge vile wa defilement ya msichana, wanawake wanachapwa. So I was like, what about the boy? Because pia boy kuna mali maboys wengi sana wanaumia. Hadi wameanza ku create your men's conference. And I like vile umesema ni gender based na inajaribu kusaidia watu wote, boys and girls, wala kwa hizi shida. The government of the day. Kanye kama Gem, mnawaka na government of the day kuona vile inaenda, at least the moment mnapata history za civic education, mnapigizo raundi za mtaa, nyuenda hizo mamta hivi.
Yes. So let me just speak around the We Lead program. We Lead program is a program that is being implemented by GEM, GEM Trust in collaboration with HIVOS. And this particular program is targeting young people, girls in their different diversities.
Great.
That includes girls that have been affected by the displacement, girls with disabilities, girls that are living with HIV. Na iyo mradi, what it's supporting the young women and girls, and also the generally the community, it's linking them kutoka kwa community. After we have created awareness, we have capacity build them, tumewapatia ile motisha, then we link them to government agencies and spaces where they are able to advocate for their own rights. So wale policy makers pale tunawalink na the young people so that they are able to also talk about what they want, what policies, what laws do they want to see in regards to sexual reproductive health.
That's interesting. Irene, let me ask you, ukiangalia women, especially women who've been victimized, mbona wanakonga very slow to report these cases? Na utapata sasa even the main perpetrators are even, for example, family members ama community members. Wanajua tu guys, ako within this village, within this area, but women and even maybe their parents are just slow to go to the authorities to report the perpetrators. Mbona inakonga hivyo?
Okay, unajua like size, I'll give you a very good example. If a woman is raped size, the first thing kila mtu ataanza kuuliza ni size nikirepiwa kwa ba, kila mtu ataniambia ulikuwa umeenda kufanya nini huko sasa. The society, the community is very fast to judge a woman. Si ndio? Alikuwa amevaaje? Hata wewe ulikuwa umevaaje? Hata wewe uliprovoke bwanako. Kama ungemjibu hivi, angekupiga. Wewe ndio ulianza kufanya nini? Kumjibu mbaya. Wewe
unakuanga na kimouth sana.
Unakuanga na kamouth sana. Hiyo kamouth kako ndo kamefanya bwanako anakupiga. And then hata the way like nikipita pale unasikia mtu anasema Irene, alafu unauliza Irene gani? Si ule mwenye alirepiwa. So there is that labeling. So because of that stigmatization imefanya most survivors they fear reporting. So unapata ndo unaona hata kuna kuanga na hiyo repeat of
offenders.
Yeah. Okay. Because anajua hata sita report. And then maybe sometimes ni because economical. Nitaendaje kusema bwanangu ananipiga, yet yenda analipa rent, yenda ana provide, yenda anasomesha watu hii. So now at the end of the day nitapigwa, nitanyamaza.
Chini ya maji.
Exactly. Ama imagine unaenda kusema mzee wako ama your husband amedefile mtoto wako, yet yendo sole breadwinner.
So nyika GEM vile mmejialign, mko na hiyo like a mechanism ile ya si lazima huo mother akuje aseme ni mimi nilifanyiwa ni, but anaweza kuja kwa hii group. Kuna ashwari unajua kama mara moja bado na notice madem uogopa kwenda kuripoti jumara pa kwanza na kuripoti story ni kwa karao. Unaona karao already ndio wanazizo maswali kwanza, ulikuwa wewe ulikuwa umevaaje, ulikuwa umeenda kufanya nini, mbona unafanya bwanako akupige, kama ungemnyamazia angekupiga. Na wewe mara mob hizo swali pia ulikuwa yule mwanamke hata atachali atashindwa vile atajitoa kwa hiyo story. Nyika GEM mko na a mechanism mume create ama a number, mtu anaweza piga tu chini ya maji anajua hii bora nikipiga wataficha identity yangu but itajulikana. Ama mnaduaje kwa victim kao hiyo Winnie?
Yes. I want to talk about that in two aspects. First, creating awareness among community members. Ndio wajue hii kitu ikifanyika, first it's a human rights violation na nita report wapi. And then we have also a mechanism of following up those cases na kutembea na wao, holding their hands, so that as a gender survivor you don't feel like you have to go to the police station alone. So for instance, naweza patia na example ya paralegal model. There is something that we train young people and community members. Tunawa train on basic information on the law. Kwa hivyo msee si lawyer, ni paralegal, lakini anaelewa hizi mambo za law, anaweza kuguide kama young person in terms of where to get services. So what happens at community level, we link the community with these paralegals that now once a case has been identified, wanaenda wana cancel ule young person, anampeleka hosi, anaget ile counseling. You know, part of it is also kukubali kwamba this is not my fault, I am not to blame for what I have gone through.
For the healing.
Yes. So we give them the psychosocial support. That is the first mechanism. And then also the paralegals also accompany these young people and girls and young men to the police station. And beyond sasa hiyo mambo ya stigma yenye nakam kwa police station, we have another aspect of tumekuwa tukiwork na hizo police stations. Kuna zile vitu tunaita gender desk. So this police station have gender desk. Na kuna ule polisi mwenye ako pale kwa gender desk. Tumemcapacity build. As we capacity build the community also, pia our stakeholders tunawaongelesha. We have what we call anti-GBV technical working groups, where we have different stakeholders wanaketi, polisi, mse wa children's department, a person from the judiciary, probation, tunawaambia about the easy rights. And we've gone even a step further. Tuko na young people ambao sasa tukiwa link ile kitu nilikuwa nasema linking them to policy makers, tunawakalisha kwa hiyo technical working group yenye ambao wanawaambia manze tukikam police station hivi ndo tuna feel. So then that feedback, you see now that opens up a conversation.
But let me ask you, sorry to cut you short, Winnie. Sa utapata kuna mdem ana work in a certain environment like here, ama uko home alishikwa vibaya, you know, hopefully this word you know, somebody touched her inappropriately, but she can't prove it. Una get? In many cases unapata mdem anasema he actually touched me karana or prove that alikuonesha.
Aliacha fingerprint.
How does a woman go about something like that? Because I'm sure ni kitu common sana. Irene, maybe you can, because I can see you.
Okay, most enye mi wana push, what tuna push sana ni like working environment kwa na like an sex
prevention against sexual exploitation
kwa job. So there is a naona kama hapa like job yenye iko na way that even if mtu ataku sexual violate unaweza report, because if inaweza wakiwa hapa kwa job mkiwa na hiyo kitu ya ku prevent from like the law that prevent women from being exploited at workplace, it will make even the workplace safer, because unajua hata wewe mwenyewe utaogopa kufanya hivyo, because unajua nikifanya hivyo there is nikitume sign, unajua ukifanya hivyo ndafutwa, unaona ama nitapoteza job yangu. So hiyo ni prevention yenye nafai kwa hapa. To add on what we have said, like in GEM has different CSOs coming together. We have like young mothers, tuko na wangu kanja, circle of hope, ni different CSOs, SSV. So naona like for example mimi nimeenda GEM, nimekuwa violated. If I'm violated within GEM, there is an organization that I can go inside. For example, nimekuwa raped under in GEM. GEM will link me to Wangu Kanja Foundation. GEM will link me to Survivors Network. If I'm young mother and I need help, GEM will link me to survivors, like to young moms.
That's fine, but how can she actually prove that she was violated if at all hakuna evidence? And you know very well, you have a feeling she's saying the truth, but she has no evidence. So unapata chali fulani anasema,
sorry ajaba.
Alikuwa anadanganya, you see guys?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many cases like this, especially in workspaces. Amata uko mtaani. You know, you find a lady going to tell her mom that stepdad amemshika vibaya, but she can't prove it. I don't know how you can go about a situation like that.
For most instances, in such cases, beyond now, when you look at access to justice, the court process needs an evidence. So first thing, kama hakuna there is no sexual violation that has happened, the active penetration and all that. So if it has not happened, maybe ni harassment, hiyo yenye unasema kupigwa, kushikwa vibaya, those ones we basically, what the much services we can give to this survivor is psychological and emotional. That is psychosocial support. And then we also advise them so that in future you can be able to like record or you know have a means of verifying that this actually happened. Vile unasema in the court process we make sure that lazima kukuwe na ile evidence. So most of the
don't you think that's a detriment then to justice, kwa sababu kama sina evidence inamaanisha hakuna justice. Umsataendelea kunishika hivyo if you know, if a lady is
na vile pia na the same time Kevin, nikiongeza uzito kwa hiyo yako, unabarakanyika GEM mmeko kwa companies mob hivyo. Kiva amejaribu kusema hapa hivi, unapata mtu alishikwa unappropriate way, lakini ana way ya kuprove. Unaget hizi kampuni mingi mmekuwa mkiwork nazo along the way. Kuna mechanism wamejiekea ambayo inaweza zuia vitu kama hizo, ama pia tutagojanga tu hadi siku ile mtu atakuwa na penetrations juu nini ndio kuna evidence kama hizo. Kampuni mingi mmewak nazo.
So let me just comment on that. There's something that we call the SARE policy. So what we are encouraging any organization ambayo inafanya kazi with either women, girls, young men, any work environment, we encourage every organization to have their SARE policy. Kwa sababu that policy in itself shows the mechanism. For instance, let me give an example of GEM. Kwa SARE policy ya GEM, there is an online platform where you can report in case you have been harassed.
Okay.
As a right holder, if in case you have been harassed or sexually exploited by a GEM staff, there is a channel where we are able to report that online. There is a number that you are able to call to confidentially report, and also there is a email where you can be able to write Siri@GEM. Unaandika hapo unasema this staff badge number blah 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 alifanya hivi, and even on onboarding any new staff wanakuwa sensitized on the SARE policy and they sign against that. So that is a legal binding document ambayo ina make sure that you are protected as an employee and also you are protecting the right holder that you are serving.
All right. Shikilia hapo hivyo guys. I hope you're listening to this conversation.
No.
Go live up people Facebook and YouTube as well. Remember, appear on channel 172 on KTN BTV. That is hashtag KTN BTV right there on Star Times. We're hanging out with Irene and Winnie. They are from GEM, that is Africa Gender and Media Initiative. We're talking about, sexual
SGBV.
gender-based violence. And this, in fact, by the way, if you don't know, just about 2 weeks ago kumekuwa na 16 days of activism against gender-based violence na ilisha jana. But as we continue with this conversation, kwa sababu tunaelewa it is very sensitive and very important.
Sini wazazi.
As parents.
Yes.
And as community members.
Yes.
Hii mambo ya SGBV imezidi sana.
Kushinda people are touching people inappropriate ways.
Kev.
Lakini umesikia watu wana mahali pa kuprove Kevin.
Yeah, it's quite sad. It's quite sad.
Ni sana hiyo mechanism ndio nafili inafaa kuwa inatafutwa saa hii vile inafaa kukua, cause apart from mademu kuchukua vibaya pia machali harasiwa.
Of course.
Unapata na wadosi, unapata mtu alikuwa na mama mdosi. Unaona?
We've had this story.
We know.
So, we're coming back with this conversation. I've got some Third World and Damian Jr. going mad.
Jeez.
You're not the only
that
one.
Banger. You ain't the only one out there.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Nobody. This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
Out there, somewhere feeling lonely.
You're not the only one.
I'm telling you, you're not the only one.
I like that.
Hey,
No, Makamsa.
if you're out there and you're feeling lonely, just remember one thing: you're not the only one. And no matter what happens, my people out there, just remember, ukiwa msaadaji, ukiwa mambo imekugongaji, just along to the way, happiness will find its way back. Just remember that.
Kev, that sounds so idealistic. Ningoje tu happiness.
Itarudi.
Go and look for that happiness.
Hata kuna mtu shinangwadi kutoka ati uli ati na mama manzi wiki mbili msi hata kulangi manzi.
Depression.
Imemshika. Bro, just know somehow happiness will find
what
its
is
way.
seeking you. What you seek is
what
seeking
you are
you.
seeking is
and you know,
out there.
Many people don't always talk about how imambo ya breakup in affecting machali.
Man.
You guy, when you see a man being dumped, jua nenda kuteke kitu kama 6 months kabla recover.
Manze.
Madem nani mecheki apparently women unajua wanakuanga na groups, chama, support system. Before you know it, a week or two she's glowing.
Machali kawaida yetu suje kia mamambo. Unapata na Kev na kuonesha Kev, you look down, neba kila zizi niko sijalala poa. Sijalala.
I was out last night.
Kumbe manze ajalala.
The whole night.
Na hizi kuambia niweze kucheka. Ajalala kama nikwambie Voke, jana manze nimecry. Niliachwa. Wewe ndio kwanza utafanya utararuka. Atoliacha.
Wewe mwili yako
kukalia. What's wrong with you? Who does that?
Hey. Kwanza kase. Who does that?
Kase ndio kushenia vibaya sana.
Karibuni sana bana in the now we're still having a conversation guys with Irene and Winnie from GEM. GEM is Africa Gender and Media Initiative. Na tumekuwa tukiongea hapa hivi tumekuwa tukiongea story about the SGBV. Yes, there's a campaign against sexual and gender-based violence, and actually for the past 2 weeks imekuwa the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Na nilikuwa nachiki wanasema theme ilikuwa invest to prevent violence against women and girls. Winnie, as we continue with this conversation,
Yes.
As a society, are we investing enough when it comes to countering him and SGBV against women and girls? Ama we can do better?
We can do better for sure. Yeah, but I feel like we've made a lot of strides in terms of the investments. When you look at the donor world, kuna pesa mingi sana. But for CSOs and NGOs that are working around GBV, my request would be, or rather my recommendation, is that you find that most people work in silos. Mchukue hii kitu yenye tumewaonyesha. Coming together with other CSOs. So you can build on, or rather collaborate, so that one person is not doing one thing, the other is doing the other. When you look at the We Lead, it is a consortium which has brought together many NGOs, and in that way we are able to harmonize our work and work together towards one goal.
Fantastic.
That is ending GBV.
I really, let me ask you, my guys, ask the men out here, what role can we play when it comes to him and SGBV? Because apparently men are usually the perpetrators.
Okay, let's sensitize men sana. Let involve men in this conversation. Like the more we are training, kuna training, we are having training, we are training women on SGBV, on to empower women. Let's empower men, because some men even commit SGBV without knowing. Maybe anafanya ni mbaya, like yenye nilikuwa nasema hiyo, like spanking. Labda ya unajua kwa mtaa spanking is catcalling. Kwa mtaa kuspank, kucatcall, ni vitu ya kawaida.
Catcall ni nini? Kuna mgaza
MVPs.
Kadem kamepita unastukia, okay, for lack of better word, unaanza kumprofile bila yako, like unakaa poa sijui aje, in a way that is sexualizing. Unaona? Like dem anapita kumspank, unajua kwa mtaa ni kitu ya kawaida, sio kushika. They believe that ni mali nzuri, maybe ishikwe. It's high time we tell our boys that it is it's high time we tell our boys that it's wrong. It's wrong to you need to look for consent. Let a girl give you consent. Unasikianga msee anasema alikuwa amelewa, unaona? Akidem akilewa, sio anampitia. It's high time they should know that even drunkenness is not a consent. Ati dem alikuwa amelewa, hiyo si consent.
Exactly.
Ati dem amekam kwa nyumba yako leo, hiyo si consent. Naweza kuja kwa nyumba yako, nastaki kufanya sex. Naweza kuja kwa nyumba yako, tumeshakubaliana maybe tuta have sex. But the moment nafika kwa nyumba yako, mind yangu change. That is not consent.
Exactly.
Nimenyamaza.
Consent can be withdrawn.
Yeah. Consent can be withdrawn by the way.
Even in the action.
Kunyamaza, by the silence. Nimekuja kwa nyumba yako utufanye, nimenyamaza. That is not a consent.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's high time we train our men, we train our boys. As much we empower girls, let's move together. We involve for sisi kumaliza hiki monster we call sexual and gender-based violence. We need to involve men. Before hata nimalize, one thing is, you know, to men it's okay to tell your woman how to end a job. Haufanyi kazi, I'm the one providing. That is a form of sexual violence. That is a form of economical violence, because you are una prevent mwanamke from kupata pesa. If a woman is not economically empowered, then the chances of this woman being violated inafanya nini? Ina increase. There are so many forms of violence zina happen that sometimes even atujui. Unajua, so most people wanajua rape, maybe na domestic violence. We don't know even kuna economical violence, kuna psychological ama emotional violence, kuna like cultural violence like FGM, early marriage.
Wow, yeah.
Unaona? These are some
intimate
of
partner violence.
Partner violence. These violence nye tumezi assume.
Let me ask you something, Winnie. Okay, you want to expound?
Yes, I wanted to say, ile statement umesema, men are perpetrators. Now that is the narrative we are changing.
Okay.
We are approaching men as allies, as friends.
As friends, yeah.
Yes. So I want to expound on a model that we call SASA. So SASA is a four-phased intervention that starts with start, awareness, support, and action. And there we have men that have been trained as champions, as allies of GBV. So that means ile narrative ya kusema wanaume ndo wanafanyanga hii kitu. Because we've seen cases of women and girls also doing the same to the other gender. So the narrative is changing. We are going towards them being allies, not being perpetrators. Because ukiapproach wanaume na hiyo nyinyi ndo mnafanyanga, you're not going to make any.
Jipia tutasema nyinyi ndo mlitupush hapo hivi tufanye hivyo.
And that's just blame game. Kuna chali anaitwa Ndomo Lawrence anasema, is there something like rape in an intimate relationship or partner? Maybe Irene, you can expound.
Yes. There is your boyfriend or your girlfriend can rape you. The way nimekwambia, sex is about consent. Sindio? I must give you consent. Nimekam, maybe I'll give this scenario, nimetoka job, nimechoka, uko huko mtaani, and then you want us to have sex. And then nakwambia nimechoka.
Yes.
And then you, because maybe you're a man, na you believe your wife is your property. That is the belief inakwanga that
nilipeleka dari huko
wangu kuna mtu anikata, and then you forcefully have sex with me, that is rape.
Okay.
And rape do happen in marriage.
Kuna inafaa kustakiwa
kwa
game, kwa jam vile imekuwa nani, kuna wanamosheka mkusema kutoka hiyo ama mwanamke kama asema mi bwanangu alinirape.
Let me give you a perfect example. Wanaume hawajajua kujieleza. They've not gotten to a point because of how society norms are, that a man is supposed to be strong, they are supposed to be a provider. So wewe kama mwanaume ukienda kusema unapigwa. Let me give an example. We had a case in one of the communities that we work with. There used to be violence in a homestead. Na kila wakati the community members rush, and of course because the woman is wailing, they are crying, wanakuja tunadhani mama amepigwa na nani na husband wake. So when they are responding every time, the woman is screaming. Kumbe throughout in the 3 times that people have gone to respond ku save mama, mama ya anapiga mzee, anamtandika, and then ana scream. And automatically the community thinks
wanakuja na dandi ya mzee.
So we've had cases of men coming out to say that this is what I'm going through in my marriage, in my relationship.
Na udhani na Winnie uone hiyo kitu imekuwa ikiendelea for far too long. Tunapata kwa majob mingine dema nakutaka au mtaki, unaget anakupeleka mbele ulikuwa na sexual violate.
For us now, what is the most important thing ni kuempower wanaume pia, the men, so that they know their rights, that you can, if you don't want to have a sexual relationship with someone, you can politely decline. More often than not, hapo kuna power dynamic, and that's why we are bringing up the SEA issue kwa workplaces. Kwa sababu when you look at a relationship between an intern and maybe a manager, there's a power play there. Whether the manager is a woman or the intern is a boy or a man, a young man. So there's a power play there. So we are discouraging such relationships. So and the only way we can do that organizational level is for them to have their policies, whereby every employee, kama ni intern, kama ni volunteer, they sign against and they know how to report.
But at the same time, Winnie, ujikiv mera kuangalia kwa ile angulia, ni ukweli, whatever you're saying ni ukweli. But kuna mdema na feel, amekama kapata, yeni ako intern, na manager ni mpigi. Na manager shamuonesha tu live, wewe ni kama unataka job huku, unless ulale na mimi. Winnie na lazima ndio get job, hata have kudu nini. Hata hiyo job.
From my experiences that happens, awachangi job. Because look at a situation whereby this young woman is a single mother. They are teenage mom. Indio gig ya kwanza amepata. Manager anamwambia do this so that I can give it to you, this particular position. Anaangalia home anaona I'm orphaned, I'm a single mother, I am taking care of my siblings. What are they supposed to do?
There's so much pressure.
When you couple up information and economic empowerment, that's another key strategy. Kwa sababu most of these cases come about from poverty. The financial situations of these girls, of these young men. So when we are doing information, you also couple it up with economic empowerment. So that they don't feel that lazima alale na umse ndio apate hiyo job. Because there is a backup here.
Now, nataka MVPs watupige simu. If you've been victimized, maybe unataka some sort of help, ama you know somebody, ama unataka tu further information.
Kumezeshia community kuna mali mtu na fila naumia na wameshindwa kupata voice namna malipa kupeleka hii story.
Unaweza tupiga simu guys, it's 0719012700. Remember we're hanging out with Irene and Winnie. They are from GEM. GEM is African Gender and Media Initiative. Now, at about 12 minutes to saa 3, I'm curious, ukiangalia this era that we're living in where tech is so technology is so profound, yani mazewas kila mtu kwa tech, social media very very loud on our faces. Does it have a role to play when it comes to SGBV? Maybe serikali sasa wanafaa kuingia hapo hivyo kwa social media, regulate it even further. Talk about that, Irene.
Okay, I think social media ina contribute so much kwa sexual violence. The way nilikuambia, unapata mtu anaweka picture, the way they profile a woman in that picture, it's so bad. I think there is an act that ina prevent against cyberbullying. The government at least inafai wake up, and then I think the government also should work with the service providers on a way that they can even on a way to nitaiwekaje
shikilia hivyo kidogo, acha tuongee na Dimate. There's a guy who's calling us. Dimate, piga simu tena manze 0719012700. Guys, if you have any comments with regards to SGBV, maybe you're a victim, maybe unataka tu any more information, unajua msee uko kwa community anaumia na adai ajui kuongea,
akweni chalia kweni mdem.
Give us a call right now guys, 0719012700. Irene,
for example, kama kwa mfano umeni sexual umeni threaten, ndio through media, TikTok. Maybe TikTok, on a way they can onaweza kuarrest, on a way onaweza kufikia, maybe if they can work with service provider like Safaricom, Airtel, on a way to arrest these people. For example, like someone told me that the Safaricom is different from WhatsApp. Maybe women threaten through WhatsApp. Maybe women to me and nudes. Like, I'll give this example. We are a couple, and then one day tumekosana, and then you decide, Leo, because tumekosana, I'll go and kuanika. Sio kuanika imekuwa sana. It's a crime.
Tulifundishana na wakubwa.
It's a crime. Unaona? So if there is a way or there's a law that inafaifike, what people need to know that there's a law that protect you against this. It's wrong for someone to kuanika huko nje, kuanika your nudes huko nje, because unajua someone anafanya hivyo, maybe it's a way of punishing you. But
Irene, hold on, let's talk to Jerry. Good morning bro. Jerry, hello. Yo Jerry, niaje? Good morning.
Mark. Ndio nilikuwa nauliza.
Ulikuwa unasemaje?
I've heard they've explained everything about the Pandea victim, but nilikuwa curious just to know how do they handle the malicious reports. Jusa zingine kuna watu wana take advantage of seme venye hao watu wa GEM wanasukuma hiyo maneno vizuri, and they follow up. How do they deal with the guys who just misuse the work they are doing? Wanaanza kufanya malicious reports against someone.
So you're saying fake reports, for example?
Hivyo sasa, hiyo ndio nilikuwa curious about how do they handle that, na ziko mingi zina push back the work they are doing ama
Jerry, big up. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jerry. 0719012700. If you have any questions with regards to SGBV, maybe you've been victimized, or you know a victim na ameshinda kuripoti maneno, or you just want more information about how to counter this menace in society, SGBV. Remember, we're hanging out with Irene and Winnie. Winnie, maybe you can tackle that question from Jerry. Amesema, how do you guys handle malicious reports where we have people not really giving you legit information, trying to cook all these other things for their own benefits? I'm assuming reports kazo ziko mob sana. How do you dig deep and find out whether that report is authentic?
So first, before we take up any case, we have to know the facts. And there's so much interrogation that goes into, like, what has the survivor gone through. So such cases come up where someone has decided juu ako empowered, anajua venye anafaa kureport, anajua nini anafaa kuwa nayo as evidence. People come up with such cases, maybe ameachwa, they are heartbroken, and now they want to cut this other party. So in such cases, there are other legal mechanisms. So we provide pro bono services for even people, the perpetrator that has been accused wrongly. Because in the process of investigating and doing that research in terms of what has happened to this survivor, we're able to get facts. All
right. So what about mtu mwenye anapitia trauma psychological effects. Yeah, somebody was violated, even a parent right now who's in their 40s and 50s, 60s. Something happened kitambo sana, and finally they've opened up. Juzi nilikuwa nacheki
at 70.
Manze jo, juzi nilikuwa nacheki hata ule mdem. Sometimes I watch content from Hollywood. So there's this guy called Diddy. Demo wake, his ex-wife Cassie. Alikuwa nasema how Diddy used to do allegedly bad things to her, and now she took the matters to court, and Diddy was sued, so they settled the matter out of court. You have a situation where and now at an older age stage in their life, don't wanna traumatized, she's so stressed out, he's so messed up. How do you handle a situation like that?
Psychological support in two ways. We do legal support, that is providing a pro bono lawyer that guides the legal side. And then hapa kwa health, because mental health is a big issue right now.
100%.
Yes. So we link them. We do something that we call a legal aid clinic, whereby we also identify those cases of the cases that happened kitambo, ambayo mtu ameishi na trauma and they need counseling. So what we do, we support them with specialists that give a psychosocial support. We also have psychosocial support groups where survivors can sit and speak about the issues that they are going through with a community of other survivors, so that they can encourage each other, and then one-on-one counseling sessions.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
No,
To add on that,
yes, please.
I'll tell you something. When it comes to sexual violence, you never heal.
I'm sure. Can imagine.
It takes years for you to heal, because this is something that will always be affecting you. So it's so good. Kwanza, it's so bad when it happened to you when you are a kid, because when you're a kid, people assume, they make decision on your behalf. Alirepiwa atapona tu, sini mtoto. It's so hard for most people. It's so hard to kupata counselor wa kudeal na watoto. You can be a counselor but not trained to deal with kids.
Little babies.
So watu ukienda angalia, most people wenye wanafanyiwa counseling, those who go to therapist, wanapata ni watu wazima. So these kids grow with that trauma inside her, and that's why we have so many people who are bitter, so many people who are angry for nothing. Unapata tu mseni akona 2 kiasi, kitu kidogo imemtrigger, umemwangisha kidogo tu imemtrigger, because of the trauma that happened to them when they were young. So it's high time that we start even having kufanyia watoto wadogo counseling, mentoring them, ndo hata akigrow hiyo counseling ama hiyo healing process inafaa ianze from akiwa mtoto mdogo.
Na so far nyika je mshapitisha nini kaa hizo, mshajenga maproposal kaa hizo, mmetumia government of the day, mmedili na MMC ma MP maybe wapeleke kwa court au to the parliament wapitishe vitu kaa hizo?
One thing I'll tell you is, Jem, we deal with advocacy at the national level. So these are part of the things we are pushing. Like saizi we are pushing, unajua saizi kila mtu anasema we need a safe space, we need a safe house. But one thing we are not talking is, we don't just need a safe house. We don't just need a house where we go, for lack of better word, go and dump survivors. We need an equipped safe house where neza peleka survivor, kuna counseling at a go, akona shule. Unajua most of the safe house, they don't even have school. Naenda unamweka hapo anakaa for sometimes, then unamrudisha back to the society. So we need somewhere where a girl anaenda akitoka pale is she or he is ready to come to the society. Another thing nilikuwa nataka kusema is, we have something called Survivors Network. Survivors Network is like a family of survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. Iko na age group. So wakikuwa pamoja, most of them are survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. When you are, it's like a family. Ukikuwa kwa family, you know that kumbe kitu iko nifanyikia peke yangu. Experience yako in somehow inakusaidia kuheal. Yeah.
All right, so guys, I want us to wrap up this conversation. Let's talk about how people can reach out in case they've been victimized, they don't know how to go about their situation. Ama mtu anajua kuna situation ina happening kwa ile boma huko, I suspect things are not so good. Let's talk about all these prevention measures, how they can reach out, maybe there's like a hotline. Talk about that, Winnie. Give us all your contact information.
So 1195 is the hotline for reporting any cases around GBV.
Yes.
Beyond that, through the work that we do, advocacy work, recently we've been able to support government to launch the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act and the rules that is now operational. Haimaanishi sasa wewe kama survivor if you have to go and report the case yourself. There is a mechanism that you can, as a neighbor, as a friend, as an ally of the survivor, there is a channel in which now you are able to go and report the cases on behalf of the survivor.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the shortest word possible, manze, Winnie, au maperpetrator ni ale tu ambao tukasema ni boys, in fact ni men. Vile tukiva kwa perpetrator ni ukasema tunafaa kuita ma allies. Ukapatiwa one word waambie kasa ya kuondokea, unaweza waambiaje?
Naweza waambia all hope is not lost. Yeah, you might have done a mistake once, and that is a mistake. It could be because of lack of information, but the best thing you can do right now is support gender survivors and also champion and speak to men to come out and support young women and girls and young men that are going through GBV.
Right. Thank you, Irene. In the shortest word possible, was less than a minute. Ma victim wale wamepitia SGBV na wajapata help so far, unaweza waambiaje?
To all survivors wenye wamepitia GBV, one thing I'll tell you is that heal, jaribu kupona kwanza. That is the best thing. Deal with you. No, usipopona, even your kids, this is something that will also affect mpaka your kids. This is something that will help affect your relationship. One thing I'll say is getting psychological help is so expensive. Nona, like in Nairobi we have places where nazapata psychological help. This is something I'll tell the government.
Irene, I have to cut you short.
Okay.
I'll give you a minute
to
Kirudi the next hour so that you can wrap up this conversation fitting, including your contact information.
Yes, sir.
Guys, remember Irene and Winnie from Africa Gender and Media Initiative Trust. We're talking about SGBV in the country. Right now it's time for the news with Asentu Tondeka.
Morning Vibes, where you are the MVP. No negative vibes.
Alright, man. Mwaki's up featuring Sophia and Zao. Cheers. 104.5 Vibes Radio. I like Maze. It's a Monday. Happy holidays once again. Of course, my name is Kevo Matara, your local energy provider.
And of course, Kevo Balman, we are keeping it easy, and rushing full of energy, frequency na vibration, manze, spirit kufiti, manze, kaka Monday ka leo jo. Na kesho ni sikukuu.
Yeah, apparently, bro. But nilikwambia si tuko job. Don't even talk about it, Kev. Kwa sababu kesho utanene, oh man, Kev. Damn, tunava kuja job. Oh my God.
Sini leo tu jioni napigia wila. Veve inalala imefungwa.
Veve ifungwe.
Kesho tuko hapa, tuko peke yetu.
I know.
Na kesho tuko kwa TV.
But hey, guys, we're still having an amazing conversation with our friends over here. The one and only Irene Mbalilwa Mbote. Mbote. Aki napenda jina yako, Irene. Damn, that sounds so South African. Yeah. And of course, Winnie Mwanzia. She's a field officer, Africa Gender and Media Initiative Trust. And Irene is a co-founder, Circles of Hope. It's a CBO. Now, as we wrap up this conversation, kuna magazi wanasema, wamelearn vitu mob sana. In case of any partnerships, maybe somebody mtu anataka kufadha hii conversation on their podcast ama their own platform out there.
Ama atakuwaita.
Mtu ana maswali, how can people reach out?
Yeah, you can reach us in our main office. It's in Upper Hill Gardens, 3rd Ngong Avenue. And we have a field office in Athi River at the DC's compound. And you can also call us on 07 39 80 3545. That's our contact. And also you can reach us via email at info@gem.or.ke and on our social media handles.
Yeah. Good stuff, Irene. And you guys, Circles of Hope?
Okay, Circles of Hope, follow us on Twitter. Circles of Hope.
On X.
Yeah, on X. It's no longer Twitter.
It's no longer Twitter.
Follow us on X.
Actually, I followed you guys also.
Circles of Hope. Also follow Gem on
Gem Africa.
Yeah, on X.
On X as well, yeah.
At Gem Africa.
Yes.
At We Lead Kenya. Yeah.
Good stuff.
On social media.
And you?
On X. At Irene Balilwa.
At Irene Balilwa and Winnie as well. That is
at Winnie Mwanzia.
Good stuff. Let me ask you something, guys. As we wrap up this conversation. Unachekisa hii vile situation kwa ground in Inoma. I was just reading a report the other day. They're saying young Kenyans are going through a lot of apathy. Mental health is a big conversation. And it's, to me, it's also kind of tied to SGBV. But generally, many young guys are feeling very hopeless. Unajua, hata watu wako na ile indifference. Unacheki mtu amekuzoea, mtu amekuabuse. You don't even care. It's just like, I'll just move on. I'll heal by myself. But when I have a conversation with both of you, you look very sharp. You know, it's like you have your mental wealth sorted out. I'm curious, for example, Winnie, what do you do to, you know, to have a good, to have a positive mental attitude?
Actually, it's so surprising that you would say that because I struggle with mental health. And as part of the work that we do, we support survivors through we do mental health sessions every quarter just to debrief and speak about the cases that we come across because in as much as I'm a provider, I'm a healthcare provider, at the end of the day, all these things actually affect me.
That's right.
Yeah, so we do debriefing sessions every quarter just to talk about, you know, those mental health issues and also getting help. The biggest aspect is demystifying the norms that we've grown up knowing. Wanaume hawafai kuongea, you shouldn't, you know, mental health ni kuchizi. So we are normalizing the conversation so that we can get the help that we need.
I like that.
Ni fiti for Winnie. Kitu nimelike new story ile ya ofisi zenyu iko Upper Hill, ingine iko ni Athi River Kitengela.
Yes, Athi River.
But at the same time na realize unaona stories za SGBV mobs happening magetu mtaani. Unaona mnachora kufungua ofisi nyingine maybe kimtaa.
Okay, Circle of Hope, we are in Kuru Kwanjenga.
Oh, that's nice.
And Circle of Hope, we are part of GEM Trust. So if you reach us, you reach them. And we offer free psychological help to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. We can do both telecounseling and one-on-one because most of the members of Circle of Hope are counselors. So it's
okay. And big up your friend.
Oh, big up to Helen Mbote. He told me if I don't big up to her today, atanidai.
Guys, I just want to say thank you so much, Winnie Mwanzia and Irene Mbote, for coming through. It's been a real one.
Thank you so much.
Najua mumongeza value mob sana to the lives of young Kenyans out there who are going through maybe SGBV. They're just, you know, just awareness. Awareness is good.
Important.
And hopefully counter hii menace very deadly because
it's man
vile mefika sahi both genders have to thrive. Tunafaa kukuwa na wewe wacha hiyo. We have to have an environment where everyone feels like they thrive. Amani aje man. So sawa.
Karibuni sana tumeappreciate man.
When we come back,
umesikia kabla Kevu toke but umesikia mademo ameambia machali yaje. Unataka kushina hiyo catcalling. Jua inapitishwa ni low. Ni hatari.
Una violate mwenyewe.
Manze ni vibaya. Unajua watu wengi hapo mtaani hatujuangi hivyo.
Can you imagine if a girl told you ama did that to you?
But umeshwa kitu hivyo.
How would you feel? You
last time him dem alindio hivyo nilienjoy nilismile.
Okay, you're crazy. So tukirudi we talk about our president William Ruto. Amesema aendangi hizi matrips zake as a tourist. Ameenda huko kufanya kutuhustle ya makazi. 43 trips.
Na so far watu ngapi wameenda nje juu ya kazi?
Kuna watu wanaenda Israel. Mavijana wanaenda Israel kufanya.
Bro, wanaenda Israel sahi?
Probably not. We'll talk about that when we come back. And that in media the story is this traffic jam hour plus my bangers maze back to back. Keep it locked and don't move at 17 minutes after 9.
104.5 FM Nairobi on Vibes Radio. This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
Don't allow the opinions of others to shut you down. When they talk, you go hard. When they doubt you, you shut them up with your results. The best revenge in life is massive success. Don't allow anyone or anything to steal your dream. If you dare to be great, if you dare to do something that you've never done before, if you dare to go to limits that you've never been to before, you'll achieve more than you could ever imagine.
Positive vibrations on the Morning Vibes.